Buying a house is one of the biggest dreams that I had when I first started working, and it is definitely not an easy thing. However, buying a house in the UK is even harder because while you are obviously saving money for your deposit to put a down payment on your house, you also need to save money for so many other costs that I had not accounted for. But what if I told you there was a quicker way to help you save money so that you could buy a property in the UK faster than you think and call it home? In today's video, I will be decoding 4 different ways to help you save extra money and find your ways to build your income and boost your savings so that you can get on the property ladder much quicker than you would have anticipated as someone on a work visa in the UK. But before we move ahead, my name is Nikita and I make a lot of content related to healthcare jobs in the UK, cracking your HCPC registration, cracking your job applications to secure interviews and life in the UK generally. And if this is of any interest to you, don't forget to subscribe to me on YouTube, but also follow me on Instagram. My handle is Physiotherapy in UK. So let's get into the details of today's video. So the first tip that I want to share with everybody is open a lifetime ISA. So a lifetime ISA is basically an individual savings account that you are allowed to open even while you hold a work visa in the UK. Now again, one of the most important questions that I get is the lifetime ISA a public fund? So let me clarify it. The lifetime ISA and all of the interest you get on it is not considered public fund, so it's not violating the rules of your work visa. Comes to your lifetime ISA, one of the first things you've got to remember is that the lifetime ISA is essentially something where you can make yearly contributions. So every year you can put up to £4,000 into your lifetime ISA account, and then what the government does is, as a reward, it gives you a 25% bonus, which comes up to exactly £1,000 a year if you've put in the total of £4,000 every single year. Now, why is this amazing? Because if you just do the math, so if you've put in 4,000, you are getting an additional 1,000, bringing up your total yearly saving of 5,000 for that particular year. Do this a couple of times and you've accumulated about £15,000, which is a healthy deposit for a house anywhere outside London. Now, while obviously the lifetime ISA sounds great, and it's great to have that 1,000 of extra bonus every single year from the UK government, there are some rules. Now, in terms of rules, the most important thing for you to remember is that you need to be between the ages of 18 to 39. Now, if you are over the age of 39, that is, say for example, if you are 40 years old, you are not allowed to have a lifetime ISA. The second thing you want to remember is that your lifetime ISA can only be used if you are purchasing your first property. Now, this first property has to be your first property in the world. So it cannot be that you have owned a property back in India and you are using your lifetime ISA, because remember, this is your first purchase in the world and it's got to be in the UK where you're using your lifetime ISA. So that's another important point for you to remember right here. The third point is, if you are planning to buy a property after a year or later than that, then the lifetime ISA is for you. Because what you don't want to do is you want to use your lifetime ISA and try and purchase a property quickly, because you are then getting that 1,000 free bonus. As a rule to the lifetime ISA, you need to hold money within your lifetime ISA for at least 12 months before you use it to purchase a property. So that is another key point for you to remember. The next thing that you've got to remember is that the property purchase price should not exceed more than £450,000. Now, this is another key crucial step or rule that you've got to remember, because most of the property prices in London can be more than £450,000 if it is not bought via shared ownership, and that would mean that the lifetime ISA would not be considered a valid tool for you who are planning to purchase a property there. So make sure that when you are considering to buy a property, assess the market, see which location you're going to buy, and only if the property values within those areas are less than £450,000, then make sure you've opened a lifetime ISA, because this is one important rule. And say for example, if the property price is more than £450,000, then what will happen is that you will have a 25% penalty on withdrawal. Now you would say, Nikita, this is fine, isn't it? Because this would exactly be coming out of this 25% bonus. Well, the answer is no, because this 25% penalty will be on your total ISA value held at that point. Say, for example, I've opened my ISA, held it open for a year, and now the lifetime ISA funds that I have are about, say, £5,000, because I've put in a good amount of money this year.
if I was taxed on, or sorry, if I was charged the penalty for this amount, what would happen is I would lose £1,250 because that would be the 25% penalty on withdrawal. So as you can see, I'm actually losing another £250 from my yearly contribution as well. So hence that's an important point for you to remember if you are planning to use your lifetime ISA. Another time when you might have the 25% penalty on withdrawal is if you are using it to not purchase your first home or are planning to use it immediately. So you cannot use your lifetime ISA before the age of 60. So you're essentially going to use it again to save up for your pension if that is what you want. But again, remember the biggest aim of the lifetime ISA is to get people on the property ladder. So make sure that you are not withdrawing these funds for anything other than the purchase of your first home or in retirement once you're 60 years old.
So now that we've realized that the lifetime ISA is an absolutely great tool for you to have in order to save your money and also get some good interest top up from the government, let's talk about where you can open a lifetime ISA. Now, if you would realize, most of the lifetime ISAs are not available with your regular high street banks. This would include Lloyds, HSBC, Barclays, so and so. But there are other options. There are several other lifetime ISA providers, and the one that I've chosen personally and have used is Moneybox. Now, Moneybox was a great app and one of the no-brainer deals for me to get onto my lifetime ISA. And again, if you are interested in opening an account with Moneybox, do feel free to check out the code in the description below. And while we're talking about the lifetime ISA, another important thing that I didn't realize, and I perhaps realized quite late into the process, was when it comes to withdrawing the money does not come to your bank account directly. What tends to happen is when you want to withdraw the the money from your lifetime ISA, you are meant to ask your solicitors to do that. So your solicitors then need to make contact with your lifetime ISA provider, and the money goes directly into your solicitor's bank account to pay off the purchase price of the property. Now, this was a key crucial step that I did not know, so it's always worth being aware about it. Just to remember that all of that money that you have in your lifetime ISA is probably never going to hit your bank account again unless you're 60 years old and withdrawing it for pension purposes. So that was a wrap up of the lifetime ISA. Now again, another option that you have, and this is option number 2 after your lifetime ISA, is opening an high yield savings account, also known as high interest savings accounts in the UK. Now, for example, if you have a lump sum of cash, say for example £5,000 or £10,000, what you can do is if you go to your regular banking provider, again, which can be your regular high street banks such as Lloyds, Barclays, HSBC, etc., they would not offer you competitive interest rates. However, over here, what you can do is choose to open your bank accounts with other banking apps that offer you a premium or a much higher interest rate as compared to what you would be receiving if you had left the money in your current account, which might be zero or a very low interest rate. Now, these high yield savings accounts can be absolutely great in boosting your interest savings for over the short term and the long term period. And one of those banks that I have used in the past or that have been recommended by friends and family is Atom Bank. Now, this is a bank that obviously pays you interest on a monthly basis and can be a great way to boost those savings rates. Again, if you need help or you want to sort of check out more about them, feel free to check the description box below. Again, I am not promoting them. This is not a paid content video, but it's just one of the great banks that have come into my attention. One thing that you've got to remember though is with the high yield savings interest banks, that all of the interest that you get over there can be subject to tax. So if you have gained more than £1,000 of interest, then you will be taxed on the additional amount over the £1,000. Now, this was again something I wasn't aware, but also I did not have all of the cash to put into a savings account at that point of time. But this is something that you should be aware if you are considering opening a high yield savings account. So if you are somebody who's already paying a lot of tax and are also in the sort of higher income tax brackets, then what should you be doing? So instead of a high yield savings account, what you can do is, let me offer you an alternative of the cash ISA.
Now, another massive thing for you to remember is, like I said, the LISA is an individual savings account, and every year you are allowed to hold up to 3 accounts. Now, the first one is obviously your lifetime ISA, like I've discussed earlier in this video, where you can put in about £4,000 every single year, and the government will top it up with an additional 25% bonus, which is £1,000. The second thing you can do is hold a stocks and shares ISA, which is essentially allowing you to trade stocks of a company or shares of a company or index funds, etc. Now, again, if you want more information about this, do drop comments in the video below and I will try and make follow-up videos about this topic. But the last one, and this is something that I did not know about. So I did not use this tool while actually saving up for my house. But this is a fantastic tool and something that a lot of people have recommended to me since. And it is called a cash ISA. Now, why would you use a cash ISA? So like we've explained before, a lot of people can be paying taxes on their savings. And one way to mitigate that tax is by using your cash ISA. So any money that you hold in your cash ISA and that gains interest will not be taxed on the rate of interest that you are getting. So you are not going to be taxed that additional 20% or 40% based on your tax rates. Now, another crucial point to remember at this stage is that your yearly ISA allowance is of £20,000. So between these three accounts, which is your stocks and shares ISA, cash ISA, and your lifetime ISA, you're only allowed to have £20,000 deposited into those accounts. Now, remember that that is the highest limit you can put. So say, for example, if you've put £4,000 in your lifetime ISA, that only gives you about £16,000 to put into your stocks and shares ISA and your cash ISA.
Now again, in terms of cash ISA providers, some of the most common ones that a lot of people are using and that are offering great interest rates at the minute are Trading 212 Cash ISA, Plum Cash ISA. So again, these are two options, and again, I'll leave the link for that in the description box below, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But now the fourth way in terms of trying to save up for your deposit is actually checking your tax letters in the UK. Now what I mean by this is always making sure that on your payslip, whatever tax code is there is the most appropriate one for you, and that you're not being overtaxed or undertaxed, or you're not being underpaid for some reason. The second thing you want to do in that is, as healthcare professionals, we are allowed to claim back certain expenses. Now these include expenses related to maintaining a license to practice. So whether that's your CSP registration, HCPC registration, NMC registration, GMC registration, you can claim all of that money back via your self-assessment forms. And the second thing that you can also claim money back is on any healthcare or job related clothing or footwear that you might be using. So again, you can claim certain money back for your trousers, pants, scrubs, etc. So make sure you are claiming those sort of additional bonuses from the HMRC before or after you're filing your tax returns for this year. Now these were 4 great ways that I thought about saving money to buy my first house. Any ways that you know will be definitely appreciated by so many others watching my channel, so do feel free to comment them below. But that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.